Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated as the program will begin shortly. Thank you.
Hello.
Distinguished guests, the honorable delegates, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us. It is a pleasure having you all here this morning at Pecatu Hall 1 and 2, the Bali Nusa Dua Convention Center. We will begin the meeting shortly. Please have your seat. Ladies and gentlemen, the 17th East Asia Summit Energy Ministers meeting will begin in a few moments. Please be prepared and do sit according to your seating arrangement. We would like to remind you that you would need to follow the health protocol and please set your phone on silent mode during meeting. Please do not remove microphone when speaking. Thank you indeed. Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, please join us now for a safety induction from Convention Venue BNDCC, Bali Nusa Dua Convention Center.
Center, BNDCC. Your safety is always our first priority. It is essential that you are familiar with our emergency procedures in order to respond appropriately during an emergency. When you enter the building, pay attention to the nearest exit doors, emergency stairs and fire extinguishers. Please take a few moments now to locate your nearest exit. In the event of an emergency such as fire, earthquake, bomb explosion, or tsunami is announced over the public address system, or an emergency alarm is sounded, please remain calm and listen to the announcement. Please follow the evacuation routes and follow the instructions given by Emergency Response Team (ERT) personnel. If we are required to evacuate the building, please proceed calmly to the nearest safe exit and follow closely the instructions of ERT personnel to the assembly points. Please do not use the elevator. Use the nearest emergency stairs according to the evacuation route signs. If you require first aid, please do not hesitate to ask one of our ERT personnel. Now you are here at Pechatu Hall. Pay attention to the exit doors and evacuation routes. Thank you for your attention. Best wishes for an eventful day at BNDCC.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. May peace be upon us. Shalom, Om Swastiastu, Namo Buddhaya, Salam Kebajikan, good morning. Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, commencing the 17th East Asia Summit Energy Ministers Meeting, we are honored to invite the chair of the 17th EAS-EMM, the Minister of Energy and Mineral Resources of the Republic of Indonesia, to deliver an opening remarks and to lead the next agenda. His Excellency Bapak Arifin Tasrif, please, the floor is yours.
Excellencies, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, a very good morning. I hope you enjoy the day you are staying in Bali. This day, Bali have a good weather. It's nice to be outside, of course, after the event. So tonight, we are going to meet again for having the dinner, so we have a chance to enjoy the fresh weather of Bali. Thanks for the Australia sending the breeze to us during this shiny day. I'm delighted to welcome Your Excellency Ministers to Nusa Dua, Bali for the 17th East Asia Summit Energy Minister Meetings. I also welcome Timor-Leste as an observer to our meeting today. Our meeting today is crucial since we are gathering here to address one of the most challenging times in our energy sector, ensuring a sustainable and resilient energy. To realize energy security and transformation to cleaner energy, we need to enhance cooperation within the East Asia Summit framework. The collaboration to expedite the energy transition is essential, which includes initiatives to decarbonize industry, transport, and other energy-intensive sectors through electrification, energy efficiency implementation, adoption of clean alternative fuels, and carbon capture. Therefore, we should promote alternative and emerging low-carbon technologies and systems. Among others are hydrogen, electric vehicles, bioenergy, nuclear energy, and CCS/CCUS. In addition, to leverage clean energy technologies, critical minerals should be developed, particularly for energy storage and electric vehicle ecosystems, since ASEAN countries are endowed by large of mineral resources. We also expect that the Japan-led Asia Zero Emission Community, or ASEC, initiative could provide support for energy transition in some East Asia Summit countries, particularly to driven down the cost of clean energy technologies in ASEAN and provide financial support. I would like to appreciate for East Asian Summit countries' contribution in this important meeting, and I am confident that our discussion will significantly advancing our way to achieve sustainable energy security in the region. Thank you. Now, we should move to the agenda item number 2. In this agenda item number 2, I welcome our newest member of ASEAN, Timor-Leste, joining us as an observer in this meeting. I would like to invite Minister of Petroleum and Mineral of Timor-Leste, Excellency Mr. Francisco da Costa Monteiro, to deliver his remark. Timor-Leste, please, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Excellency Minister. I thank you again for the kind invitations to Timor-Leste to participate in this 17th East Asian Summit Energy Ministers Meeting, and provide our remarks in this forum. Excellency Ministers of Member States, esteemed delegates, and EIA's participating countries, delegates in here. As we all navigate the urgency of today's challenges, Timor-Leste recognizes the critical need for strategic policy and practical cooperation to advance the global climate sustainability agenda. We are keenly interested in today's meeting, particularly those focused on diversifying energy fuels and technologies while ensuring energy security and connectivity in the region. We are also intrigued by the discussions surrounding the promotions of upstream energy investments, as well as mobilizing finance, ensuring technology access, fostering innovations to expedite the energy transition. It is evident that financial mechanisms, breakthrough technologies are crucial drivers of sustainable development. Excellencies, esteemed delegates, our collective commitment is a powerful testament to the significance and urgency of our shared challenges. Therefore, Timor-Leste is eager to welcome the opportunities to deepen the engagement on energy security, energy connectivity, and energy transitions, including decarbonizations with EIS energy ministers, as well as the member state and other EIS participating countries. To conclude, Mr. Chairman, I thank the opportunity given and looking forward to a successful and productive 17th EIS Ministers meeting. Thank you. Obrigado. Terima kasih.
Thank you. Obrigado, Timor-Leste, for your remarks. We hope that Timor-Leste can explore broader regional cooperation with East Asia Summit participating countries. Now we move to the agenda number 3, adoption of the agenda. I invite the ASEAN Secretariat, ASEC, to brief us on our agenda for today. Please, ASEC.
Thank you, Excellency Chair, and very good morning to Your Excellencies, EIS Energy Ministers, and distinguished delegates. As we have circulated the agenda before, I will scroll down quickly on the agenda. So for your kind consideration and adoption, please, if there's no further change. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Asek. I will open the floor if there is any other addition for the agenda. If there is no comment, we consider the agenda as adopted. And now let us move to the next agenda item. Agenda item number 4, business arrangements. Today's meeting will be convened in plenary, and the ASEAN Secretariat will be the reporter. Thank you. Okay, then we move to agenda number 5. Agenda item number 5 is divided into several sections. 1, updates from ASEAN Secretariat on the ASEAN Sustainable Agenda. 2, updates from each ASEAN member states on its policy on energy security and energy transition. 3rd, updates from other East Asia Summit participating countries on the same topics. And the 4th, the last part, is the discussion. On agenda item 5.1, I would like to invite ASEAN Secretariat to brief the meeting on East Asia Summit related high-level meetings. Asek, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Excellency Chair. I will brief on the ASEAN Secretariat report to the 17th EAS EMM this morning on behalf of the Deputy Secretary General for ASEAN Economic Community, representing ASEAN Secretary General Dr. Kao Kim Hoon, who is participating in the parallel ASEAN meeting, Finance Minister meeting, and Central Bank Governor meeting today in person in Jakarta. My report to EAS EMM today will link to the ASEAN broader community building efforts and will cover. Next slide, please. 1, recap of the key outcomes of the 17th East Asia Summit. 2, recap of the key outcomes of the 16th EAS Energy Ministerial Meeting. And 3, ASEAN Digital Economy Framework Agreement and ASEAN Strategy for Carbon Neutrality. Next slide, please. First, on the recap of the relevant outcomes and directive of the 17th EAS Summit that was held on the 13th November last year in Phnom Penh, Cambodia. The relevant outcomes to highlight are that the leaders recognize the importance of a sustainable recovery that supports both economic growth as well as climate and sustainability goals. The leader also welcomed the 7th ASEAN Energy Outlook. The leader encouraged EAS, EMM, and EAS Energy Cooperation Task Force to ensure that the energy cooperation is the importance of a sustainable recovery that supports both economic growth as well as climate and sustainability goals. Leader also encouraged the importance of a sustainable recovery that supports both economic growth and climate and sustainability goals, as well as they further call for the importance of a sustainable recovery goals. Okay, and also the cooperation on climate change adaptation and mitigation, and promote sustainable development, energy transition, and energy security resilience. Next, please. As for the recap on the relevant outcomes and directive from the 16th EAS EMM that was held in September 2022, which was hosted online by Cambodia. The relevant outcomes to highlight from our previous meeting are the achievement, resilience, realistic energy transition, also recognize the importance of accelerating the development and deployment of innovative, scalable, and efficient technology. Also, the meeting emphasized the need for EAS to explore a variety of options and utilize all technology and fuel. Also affirmed the importance of the promotion of upstream energy investment, and the meeting also welcomed the expansion of initiatives to strengthen commitment and to scale up and shift investment. Next slide, please. Excellency, I also would like to brief on several initiatives currently being undertaken as ASEAN response towards low carbon sustainable future. ASEAN is called to adopt a more forward-looking stance to steer the region through shifting global dynamics by promoting low-carbon models. Therefore, it is crucial that within the region, our cooperation needs to be strengthened to enable enhanced regional integration and to secure solid investment opportunities. Therefore, it is my pleasure to share with you the latest addition to ASEAN's efforts to strengthen its digitalization and sustainability initiatives, including by implementing high-impact strategies such as the Digital Economy Framework Agreement, or we call it DEFA, and the ASEAN Strategies for Carbon Neutrality. DEFA is ASEAN comprehensive agreement that aims to create a seamless digital trade ecosystem across the region and is expected to position ASEAN to be one of the leading digital community and economic bloc powered by secure and transformative digital services, technology, and ecosystem. Also, for the ASEAN strategy for carbon neutrality, this strategy will be the regional pathway to drive economic growth and enable ASEAN environmental, social, and economic development goals to be achieved simultaneously in a mutual reinforcing way. While the ASEAN climate neutrality strategy is not intended to create a new climate ambition for ASEAN, the strategy intends to leverage on the region's strengths and complementarities to develop regional approaches that will complement each AMS NDC goals. Some of the key initiatives in the energy sector under the carbon neutrality strategy, which was highlighted here, are one, enable ASEAN feedstock pathway for biofuels to enable us to take part in global markets. Two, coordinate development of regional policies and regulation to support CCS and CCUS infrastructure. Three, enable regional power trading, physical interconnection, and policy cooperation. And four, to promote regional energy efficiencies and conservation. We look forward for the crucial support from our members and our partners, EAS partners, to implement this ASEAN strategy. Next slide, please. Excellencies, ASEAN economies are at the defining moments, poised to lead in a transformative era by adopting a multifaceted strategy that emphasizes economic diversification, regional integration, and multilateralism. ASEAN economies are seeking to lay the foundation for resilient recovery and contribute to stability and progress on a global scale. Moving forward, we consider EAS participating countries as partners in shaping the region's economic landscape and ongoing transformation. EAS cooperation is part of catalyzing this collaborative transformation. Together with our partners in EAS, we would be stronger together in facilitating and accelerating the region's transition towards low-carbon, sustainable future. That will end my presentation. Thank you very much, Excellency.
Thank you, ASEAN Secretariat. And now, I will invite the ASEAN member states to share key developments, plans, and challenges in their efforts toward energy security and energy transitions. I will proceed in alphabetical order, starting from Brunei Darussalam. Brunei, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Your Excellency Chair. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and very good morning, esteemed colleagues, esteemed guest delegates, ladies and gentlemen. It is indeed a great privilege for me to participate in person in the 17th East Asia Summit Energy Ministers meeting today. It is noted that the ASEAN energy demand is projected to quadruple by 2050 as the member states' economies continue to grow, driven by the industry and transport sector. As highlighted in the 7th ASEAN Energy Outlook, oil and natural gas will remain to be more than 50% of the ASEAN energy mix by the same year. In view of the volatile energy market affected by the unprecedented challenges including the global pandemic, geopolitical tension, and the need to transition towards a more sustainable economic growth, it is imperative for ASEAN to continue our efforts in cooperation in ensuring energy security in the region. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, at the national level, I am pleased to share that Brunei Darussalam has announced our intent towards achieving net zero by 2050. While oil and gas will remain pivotal in addressing the increase in energy requirements, it is equally important as well to prioritize the solutions toward emission mitigation, including the need for investment in emerging and cleaner technologies. In this light, Brunei Darussalam is actively working together with the oil and gas industry in ensuring their active role in the transition towards a lower carbon energy sector. Key policies are being put into place for emission reduction by addressing venting and flaring across the oil and gas supply and value chain. Furthermore, we also encourage the application of renewable and cleaner alternative energy, optimization of the current operations, as well as exploring availability on the deployment of CCS technologies. On another note, in the power sector, Brunei Darussalam is of the view that power interconnection will act as one of the key enablers offering an improved energy security and that supports energy transition. Brunei Darussalam is delighted to be part of the plan for Brunei, Indonesia, Malaysia, Philippines Power Integration Project, BIMPIP, which is actively spearheaded by Indonesia under their 40+ AMM chairmanship. On our share of renewable energy, we have set a target to increase the share of renewable energy into our energy mix by at least 200 megawatts by 2025 and to achieve more than 30% of total installed power generation by 2035. With these targets, Brunei Darussalam is actively exploring the possibility of introducing a utility-scale battery storage system in the country. The Department of Energy has recently issued a request for information for the provision to invest, build, and operate a minimum of 170 megawatt solar photovoltaic power plants and energy storage system in an allocated area of 280 hectares. In this regard, we would very much welcome investment and participation from the EAS countries on any of our future undertakings on renewable energy projects. We will also continue our work to increase the energy efficiency in our power generation and end-user consumption. With the planned influx of renewable energy integrated into the power grid system, undoubtedly it will require grid modernization to ensure system reliability, resiliency, and security. We are pleased to share as well that Brunei Darussalam has signed a memorandum of understanding with AREA on the field of energy cooperation. On this matter, I would like to express my sincerest appreciation to the strong support given by AREA and the assistance given to Brunei Darussalam on our efforts to energy transition. I look forward to continuing our cooperation and on the outcomes of the implementation under the Memorandum of Understanding. To conclude, Brunei Darussalam welcomes further collaboration with our dialogue partners and international organizations on the key areas highlighted. We look forward to working together, especially on the development of regulatory frameworks, enabling a conducive financial ecosystem, as well as capacity buildings that can assist in the region in ensuring energy security and energy transition. Thank you, Your Excellency Chair.
Thank you, Excellency. Now I invite Cambodia.
Excellency Chairman, Excellency Honorable Ministers, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, a very good morning. Let me share with you about our latest energy policy and regulation development for energy security and energy transition. In 2022, Cambodia has adopted a new power development plan, PDP 2022 up to 2040. It is a comprehensive and long-term plan, the development plan of Cambodia in the development of power sector, and it lays out the detailed roadmap for the period of 2022 up to 2024 and 2040, including the demand focus, generation expansion, and transmission and distribution plan. We also adopt the National Energy Efficiency Policy from 2022 up to 2030 with the vision of transforming energy consumption in the Cambodian by adopting energy efficiency. Therefore, it contributes to strong, vibrant, and competitive economic while fostering sustainable development, enabling economic growth and social inclusive, ensuring the competitiveness of business and improving human health, while also preserving the valuable natural capital of the country. The Ministry of Mines and Energy also launching the principle for permitting the use of rooftop solar power generation in Cambodia, which will enhance the management of permitting to use rooftop solar in Cambodia to be clear, effective, transparent, equalities, accountability, and fairness. Currently, we have been working together with JICA under the support of METI for clean energy transition roadmap toward carbon neutrality and focusing on the action plan and scenario toward carbon neutrality by mid-century, which will be used as a complement to the document of Power Development Plan. Cambodia also has working together with ASEAN Development Bank to implement the Energy Transition Sectors Development Program 2023 up to 2025 that focusing on the three policy reform. One, energy planning and governance strengthen. Second is low carbon and circular economy transition. And third is transparent and competitive investment in the new solution enable. At the same time, we also working together with the World Bank to prepare e-mobility roadmap and national clean energy efficiency cooking strategy plan. Honorable Ministers, according to what I have just reported to you, Cambodian energy development has been stepping up, not only maintaining energy security, but also accelerating energy transition across the country. I look forward to learn from your great experience and initiatives that can help us in realizing carbon neutrality in our country. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Excellency. Now, invite Indonesia.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, Excellencies, Minister, distinguished delegate, ladies and gentlemen. Very good morning. Allow me to convey Indonesia key developments, plans, and challenges in the effort toward energy security and energy transition. Indonesia has been making significant progress in optimizing our energy mix. Our focus on diversification has resulted in a more balanced approach, blending conventional sources with renewable energy. Our ambitious target to achieve 23% renewable energy in our mix by 2025 reflect our dedication to cleaner and more sustainable solutions. In line with our commitment to energy transition, Indonesia has developed a comprehensive national energy policy that lays out a roadmap toward a sustainable energy future. Our plans encompass the development of solar, wind, hydro and geothermal energy, tapping into our abundant natural resources. We are also fostering the adoption of electric vehicles, which align with our vision of a greener and more efficient transportation sector. First, just energy transition. Indonesia recognized that a just energy transition is not a one-size-fits-all solution. We firmly believe that each country's national circumstances must guide their journey toward sustainable energy. Our approach integrates a blend of technologies that resonate with our unique capabilities. By leveraging our diverse energy mix, including renewable energy and conventional sources, we are ensuring a just and inclusive transition that aligns with our national goal while safeguarding the well-being of our citizens. The second, interconnectivity for energy security. As part of our chairmanship deliverables this year, Indonesia underscored that crucial role of interconnectivity in achieving sustainable energy security. Collaborative partnership both with ASEAN and beyond will help us address energy challenges collectively. By fostering cross-border energy cooperation, we enhance our ability to tap into diversified resources, strengthen infrastructure, and collectively mitigate supply disruption. This interconnected approach is a foundation of our commitment to stability and resilience in the energy sector. The third, the last one, transition in the transport sector and electric vehicle ecosystem. Indonesia recognized the imperative of reducing emissions from the transport sector and is fostering the development of the electric vehicle ecosystem. By promoting the adoption of EV, we are laying the foundation for a greener, more efficient transportation system within our region. This not only reduces emissions, but also catalyzes innovation and economic growth. We acknowledge the challenges ahead in our transition effort, especially in balancing between energy security, affordability, and sustainability. We need to align our energy strategies with economic growth while mitigating environmental impact. Thank you. Back to you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Now, I invite Lau PDR. Excellency, please.
Excellency, ladies and gentlemen, according to the natural feature of Lao PDR, and landlocked country is a Great Mekong region. The economic scale of the Lao PDR is relative compared to the other ASEAN countries with their potential of hydropower resources. To enhance our potential natural resources, the government has set electricity development strategy from the 2021-2030 include various activities aiming to harness our potential natural resources of the country. The power generation mix dominated by hydropower generation resource for 75% and 14% from the coal, thermal, general, and 11% renewable energy. In 2023, hydropower development has covered over than 80% power generation max and currently with the over 80% hydropower plants in the country. A part of the hydropower potential, we also have potential for solar energy and wind turbine energy, especially the potential in the south. Furthermore, in the recent year, we have started to promote electric vehicles in our country, and the charging station would remain priority initiative to achieve at least 1% of 2025 and to achieve over 30% by 2030. Ladies and gentlemen, power connectivity and play important roles in ASEAN Lao PDR in firmly to work with you to strengthen regional cooperation with power supply connectivity to enhance energy security and accessibility. We are confident that electricity supply from Lao PDR will be competitive as well. Those in the light to some issues and challenges we may also suggest having interconnection mechanisms, power market integration, including harmonizing power exchange, starts and promoting cross-border electricity trade among ASEAN. Thank you.
Thank you, Excellency. Next, Malaysia.
Thank you, Chair. Embracing our commitment to sustainable development, Malaysia acknowledges the necessity of bold and forward-thinking strategies to reduce our dependence on fossil fuels and invest in affordable, sustainable, and reliable energy sources. We have committed to achieving net zero GHG emissions earliest by 2050, despite contributing only 0.8% to global emissions. As of today, our renewable energy share in the capacity is 25%. Our previous goal was 40% by 2035, but we have substantially elevated that to 70% by 2050. In pursuit of this target, we will augment our RE capacity, and recently we have allowed the export of renewable energy and cross-border energy trade. This will be done through the establishment of a renewable energy exchange system, and we hope to elevate Malaysia's status to a regional hub, synergizing with the ASEAN Power Grid initiative. Besides the acceleration of deploying renewable energy into our systems, Malaysia has also taken significant steps to propel decarbonization through demand-side management. In this coming Parliament session in October, we will be tabling the Energy Efficiency and Conservation Bill, which will regulate energy-intensive industries and sectors. Simultaneously, our second National Energy Efficiency Action Plan is also being developed to further support the reduction of energy consumption in the country. In tandem, our government is crafting the long-term Low Emissions Development Strategy, LTLETS. This roadmap will outline our policies and actions in a holistic approach and will harness the concerted efforts by all parties, specifically in key economic sectors, driving our commitment to reduce carbon intensity by 45% against GDP by 2030 from the 2005 baseline. We have also implemented tariff reforms to drive all these changes. At the same time, the country has also launched the National Energy Transition Roadmap, NETR. This roadmap is not just a blueprint, it's a compass guiding us through the complexities of the transition. It propels us to move from a traditional fossil fuel dependent economy into the realm of a high-value green economy. Our accelerated energy transition presents an invaluable prospect for reshaping the economy and unlocking the latent potential of growth. Considering this, the guiding principles underpinning our NETR are fourfold. First, aligning the energy sector with our sustainable development aspirations and commitments. Two, to ensure a just and inclusive transition. Three, emphasizing on effective governance. And finally, elevating employment and empowering small and medium-sized enterprises. The NETR has identified 10 flagship catalyst projects and initiatives, including 1 gigawatt hybrid solar PV plant and renewable energy industrial park, a carbon capture utilization and storage project, hydrogen programs, green mobility, and others. These flagship projects are expected to generate an estimated total investment of more than 25 billion ringgit and create 23,000 job opportunities. Thank you.
Thank you, Excellency. Now, may I invite Philippines?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Your Excellencies, the Philippines welcomes this opportunity to engage our ASEAN and East Asia Summit partners on our accelerated plans in the Philippine energy sector, consistent, cognizant of our regional aspirations under the East Asia Summit umbrella of energy cooperation. The Philippines is continuously pursuing energy security and adopting ways towards an accessible, reliable, clean, and affordable energy for all Filipinos amidst the adverse impacts of climate change. This will be realized through aggressive implementation of a number of policies. The Philippines, Your Excellencies, is the only ASEAN country that has not set a net zero target. We offer no excuses. We are cognizant of the need to balance Sustainable Development Goal number 1 on the eradication of poverty while not retreating from fundamental market reforms in our energy sector that is unsubsidized and reflects more fully true costs. Nevertheless, our desired goal under the Philippine Energy Plan is to attain a minimum of 35% renewable energy share in the power generation mix by 2030 and 50% by 2040. These targets are aligned with our commitment to combat climate change and transition to a more renewable energy-focused power generation mix. Under President Marcos Jr., we have sent a game-changing signal to the world by opening our renewable energy sector to full 100% foreign ownership. In addition, the signing of the executive order on offshore wind ensures the energy sector's whole-of-government approach in developing offshore wind. As of today, the Department of Energy has awarded 76 offshore wind contracts with a potential installed capacity of 60,000 megawatts. Equally important is the effective implementation of energy efficiency and conservation measures to bring down overall energy consumption, lower greenhouse gas emissions, and reduce intensity in the production of goods and services. We need to internalize sustainable consumption patterns in the energy sector. To reduce our dependence on imported fuels, we're looking at investing and expanding cooperation on alternative fuels and technologies. On nuclear energy, our legislative body is working on the enactment of a legal and regulatory framework to ensure the highest standards of safety, security, and safeguards for the peaceful use of nuclear energy. The implementation of the Electric Vehicle Industry Development Act promotes the development and use of alternative fuels and technologies. Above all, the Philippines is aware that the energy sector contributes to economic growth, and its related infrastructure entails huge investment costs. The Philippine government strategies are geared towards energy security, sustainable development, and resiliency, and coupled with the current pace of energy transition advancement, it is therefore imperative for both public and private sectors to participate in sustainable development initiatives and help promote long-term emission reduction initiatives to achieve our nationally determined contributions. Through continuous cooperation under the East Asian Seas Summit umbrella, we can establish common platforms to maximize the support for the aggressive implementation of our transformative policies. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman and distinguished delegates. Thank you.
Thank you, Excellency. Now I invite Singapore.
Thank you, Excellency. First, I would like to thank the Indonesia Chair, Minister Arifin, for convening the first in-person EAS Energy Ministers meeting since the COVID-19 pandemic. The EAS has a very important role to play in advancing closer regional cooperation. With climate change, there is greater urgency to unite as a global community to plan and to calibrate our energy transition together towards a shared energy future. So let us continue to use this platform to strengthen our international cooperation and boost our people's access to an equitable and just, clean energy future. Please allow me to quickly elaborate. Firstly, collaboration amongst governments are crucial. Robust global LNG supply chains, as well as power trading across countries, can contribute significantly towards cleaner energy systems. Regional power grids can accelerate the development of renewable energy projects in the region by enabling the flow of finance and investments into countries with renewable energy potential while making the projects more bankable. A regional power grid can also enhance our energy systems for mutual energy resilience and security. For instance, the Lao PDR, Thailand, Malaysia, Singapore Power Integrated Project PIP serves as a pathfinder as we work towards the ASEAN Power Grid vision to strengthen energy security and resilience in our region. Second, we need to improve energy efficiency to develop greater climate, energy, and economic resilience. Domestic energy and electricity prices are likely to remain elevated in the near term as the global energy market stays volatile. Higher energy efficiency not only helps Singapore to achieve our net zero by year 2050 goal, but also enhances our country's energy security and competitiveness by reducing business risk exposure to volatile energy markets and energy price inflation. For instance, to increase our energy efficiency, we have launched an energy efficiency fund to support the energy transformation efforts of our businesses in the manufacturing sector. We also provide a resource efficiency grant for emissions which target emissions-intensive facilities such as data centers. We in Singapore, we are doubling down our efforts on the regional front. Together with Japan, we jointly organized the 11th Energy Management Action Network, EMAC, workshop under the Energy Efficiency Hub on transitions towards net zero energy building. We will certainly continue to support regional efforts on this front. Thirdly, accelerating transition financing. Funding is needed not just for new green activities, but also for transition activities. So while funding green activities such as building or solar farms or improving energy efficiency is important, pure green activities are estimated to make less than 8% of the global economy. So this is where transition financing plays a critical role. We in Singapore launched the Global Financial Alliance for Net Zero Asia-Pacific Network to help financial institutions in Asia chart credible transition pathways and develop innovative solutions in green finance. We will soon develop key strategies for enhancing energy security and sustainability under the APA-EC 2026 to 2035. Going forward, we look forward to a stronger collaborations with the EAS countries, particularly in emerging focus areas such as development of low-carbon technologies, markets and supply chains, and carbon pricing. Our exchange of best practices using this platform will certainly continue to push the frontiers on what the region can achieve together. Thank you.
Thank you, Excellency Minister Loh. Now, we move to Thailand.
Thank you, Excellency Chair, Excellency Energy Minister, distinguished delegates. Over the past year, Thailand has made remarkable progress in diversifying our energy mix by embracing renewable energy. As we look ahead, Thailand aims at increasing the target of renewable energy share in power generation, not less than 50% or 40,000 megawatt within the next 20 years. And we put this ambitious goal in our new power development plan. Under the biocircular green economy concept, Thailand will implement biomass and biogas power plant at community level with the total installed capacity of 150 megawatt. Moreover, we plan to reach 600 megawatt in the next 10 years. We also plan to develop solar power project 2,500 megawatt and develop hydro floating solar hybrid project allow 2,700 megawatt in 9 irrigation dams within 2037. At the same time, we improve energy efficiency in building, transportation, and industrial sector by developing advanced building energy codes, promoting zero-emission public transportation, and incentivizing the use of energy efficiency technology in industry. We plan to increasing energy intensity reduction to meet the target of more than 40% in 2050 compared to 2005 level. For sustainable transport mobility, Thailand is promoting the adoption of electric vehicle and battery storage system to meet the total 1.4 million of domestic EV production, or 30% in 2030. We plan to achieve this target by several tax and non-tax measures and incentives for stimulating EV market. For example, the provision cash subsidy and tax reduction for EV purchasing already underway, providing subsidy for charging station investment and putting the special excise tax rate and import duty exemption for EV preparation. For battery industry, we set a goal to develop the battery industry to reach 40 gigawatt-hour gigafactory by 2030. More than 12,000 units of fast charging stations will be installed around the country by providing excise tax reduction from 8% to 1% and providing subsidy at around 11 to 22 US dollars per kilowatt hour for battery manufacturing factory. While we are moving forward our achievement, bilaterally, Thailand has a strong intention to strengthen the cooperation with METI, Japanese government, to develop CCUS technology and smart energy project in coal-fired power plant with close cooperation with Japanese partner. In addition, we are working closely with US Department of Energy to support Thailand under the Net Zero World Initiative to develop CCUS in gas power plant as well. In conclusion, by working collectively, I believe the EAS can emerge as a driving force in the global fight against climate change, unlocking new economic opportunity and securing sustainable energy future for the region. We must also address the social and economic implications of this transformation by ensuring a just energy transition that leaves no one behind. Thailand is committed to leverage technology, international cooperation, and public-private partnership to shape a more resilient and cleaner energy future for the region. Thank you.
Thank you, Excellency Mr. Sombatsiri. Now we move to Vietnam, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Tôi xin được chia sẻ một số thông tin cập nhật về tình hình và kế hoạch của Việt Nam trong quá trình chuyển dịch năng lượng.
Your Excellencies, I would like to share some updates on Vietnam's energy transition and plans.
Tại hội nghị COP26, Việt Nam đã đưa ra cam kết đạt phát thải ròng bằng không vào năm 2050 và cam kết này đã thể hiện quyết tâm của chính phủ Việt Nam để thực hiện các mục tiêu để chuyển dịch năng lượng từ hóa thạch sang nguồn năng lượng sạch, xanh, giảm phát thải khí nhà kính và chống biến đổi khí hậu.
At COP26, held in Glasgow in November 2021, Vietnam committed to achieving net zero emissions by 2050. This commitment demonstrates the determination of the Vietnamese government to shift from fossil fuel energy to green and clean energy sources.
Với kinh tế đang phát triển nhanh, thì Việt Nam đang đứng trước nhiều cơ hội nhưng cũng đối mặt với những khó khăn, thách thức trong việc đảm bảo an ninh năng lượng, phát triển xanh và bền vững.
With a rapid growing economy, Vietnam is presented with numerous opportunities, but also faces many difficulties and challenges in ensuring energy security, sustainable development, and green growth.
Trong đó, quá trình chuyển dịch năng lượng được chỉ đạo đẩy nhanh trên tinh thần phát huy nội lực, đồng thời tăng cường sự hợp tác, hỗ trợ từ các đối tác quốc tế, các định chế tài chính song phương và đa phương.
In this context, the energy transition process is being expedited with the spirit of leveraging domestic capabilities while enhancing cooperation and support from international partners, bilateral and multilateral financial institutions.
Vào tháng 12 năm 2022, thì Việt Nam cũng đã cùng với nhóm các đối tác quốc tế đưa ra các tuyên bố chính trị ZP. Và tại khu vực ASEAN, thì Việt Nam và Indonesia là hai quốc gia đầu tiên tham gia ZP.
On December 14, 2022, Vietnam, together with the IPG, issued a political declaration on establishing the Just Energy Transition Partnership, or JETP. In the ASEAN region, Vietnam and Indonesia are the first two countries to join the JETP.
Mục tiêu thì đạt được là đẩy nhanh thời gian đạt đỉnh phát thải khí nhà kính dự kiến từ năm 2035 lên 2030, giảm phát thải của ngành điện từ 240 triệu tấn xuống còn 170 triệu tấn vào năm 2030 và giới hạn công suất điện than của Việt Nam ở mức 30 gigawatt từ mức dự kiến là 37 gigawatt.
And with this mechanism, Vietnam aims at the following targets: accelerating the timeline for peak GHG emissions from 2035 to 2030, reducing emissions from the power sector from 240 million tons to 170 million tons by 2030, and limiting Vietnam's coal power capacity to 32.2 gigawatt from the projected 37 gigawatt.
Và điểm đặc biệt là đẩy nhanh triển khai năng lượng tái tạo để chiếm ít nhất 47% tổng sản lượng điện vào năm 2030, tăng từ mức dự kiến 39% hiện tại.
Especially, we have the target of accelerating the deployment of renewable energy to ensure that renewable sources account for at least 47% of the total electricity output by 2030, an increase from the current projected 39%.
Vào tháng 5 năm 2023, thì Thủ tướng Chính phủ chúng tôi đã ban hành cái quy hoạch phát triển điện lực quốc gia thời kỳ 2021-2030 và tầm nhìn tới năm 2050, thường gọi là quy hoạch điện 8.
In May 2023, the Prime Minister issued the Decision 500 approving the National Power Development Plan for the period of 2021-2030 with a vision to 2050, the PDP-8.
Và theo tính toán thì để thực hiện được cái quy hoạch này thì giai đoạn 2021 đến 2030 ước tính tổng số vốn đầu tư phát triển nguồn và lưới là 134 tỷ. Và giai đoạn 2031 đến 2050 thì ước tính nhu cầu vốn là cần phải khoảng 400 tỷ đến 500 tỷ đô.
Calculations shows that during the period from 2021 to 2030, the estimated total investment in developing power sources and transmission grids will be about 134.7 billion US dollar. In 2031-2050, the estimated investment need for the development of power sources and transmission grids will be about 399.2 to 523.1 billion US dollar.
Và Thưa quý vị, là quá trình chuyển dịch năng lượng tại Việt Nam sẽ mang đến nhiều cơ hội cũng như thách thức, và đặc biệt là trong việc cần thiết là phải thu xếp nguồn vốn, chuyển giao công nghệ, ứng dụng công nghệ mới, tiên tiến trong bối cảnh nền năng lượng vẫn còn đang phụ thuộc nhiều vào nguồn nhiên liệu hóa thạch. Và Việt Nam đánh giá cao và sẵn sàng tăng cường hợp tác với các tổ chức quốc tế để thúc đẩy các dự án. Và mong muốn là hợp tác với các tổ chức quốc tế, đặc biệt là trong các khuôn khổ Đông Á để đạt hiệu quả cao nhất có thể. Xin trân trọng cảm ơn.
Ladies and gentlemen, the energy transition in Vietnam brings many opportunities and challenges in terms of capital mobilization, technology transfer, and application of new and advanced technologies amidst the backdrop of continued dependence on fossil fuel. This will unlock immense investment potential in energy transition sector. We hope for effective collaboration with partners and international organizations in order to deploy these targets.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Excellency. Well, now we come to the next agenda. We will hear updates from other East Asia Summit participating countries on key policy and operational developments in their respective countries, with focus on energy security and energy transitions. We will start first with Australia.
Good morning, colleagues. My name is Tim Watts, the Assistant Minister for Foreign Affairs, and today I'm here representing the Minister for Climate Change and Energy, Chris Bowen. Thank you, Chair, for convening us today, and thanks also to the Government of Indonesia for its hospitality and leadership. Indonesia has done a strong job this year, chairing ASEAN and EAS, following on from its strong performance chairing the G20 in 2022. It is an honour to be representing Australia at this EAS Energy Ministers meeting. Australia strongly supports ASEAN's role at the centre of our region, a region that is stable, peaceful and prosperous. And I especially would like to welcome Timor-Leste to its first EAS Energy Ministers meeting. Around the world, action to achieve net zero emissions has accelerated. This transformation is the most significant shift in the world's economy since the Industrial Revolution. Australia's abundance of sun, wind and land means that we are among the countries best positioned to lead this transition. Our unique endowment of critical minerals means Australia will also play a key role in supply chains for net zero technologies like batteries. We are taking strong action and investing over $40 billion in decarbonising our own economy. In September 2022, the Australian Government passed the Climate Change Act 2022, enshrining targets to reduce greenhouse gas emissions by 43% by 2030 and to achieve net zero emissions by 2050. We are implementing a comprehensive suite of new policies to drive the transition to net zero, addressing climate change, supporting the energy transformation, creating green jobs are core tenets of Australia's cooperation with ASEAN. Under our comprehensive strategic partnership, Australia is committed to supporting ASEAN in an ambitious energy agenda. The Australia for ASEAN Futures initiative is supporting ASEAN in the development of its strategy for carbon neutrality, and we are working towards the ASEAN-Australia high-level dialogue on climate change and energy transition later this year, hosted with Vietnam and Laos PDR. Further, our Partnerships for Infrastructure program is engaging with ASEAN on renewable energy, regional energy policy and planning, and energy connectivity. These areas align closely with Australia's own experience and expertise, and with our emerging bilateral cooperation on the energy transition across Southeast Asia. We are working with our partners in Southeast Asia on an orderly transition to net zero by 2050 while ensuring energy security, reliability and increasing access, including by working closely with ASEAN under our new comprehensive strategic partnership on regional efforts to transition to net zero, through establishing a first-of-its-kind green economy agreement with Singapore. As a first in an ASEAN-led FTA, and ZFERTA will be a dedicated trade and sustainable development chapter, as well as pursue green economic transformation, and by working with Indonesia to establish a new $200 million climate and infrastructure partnership. We are focused on ensuring that the global energy transformation is technically and politically feasible. I must conclude by condemning Russia's illegal and immoral invasion of Ukraine and the profound instability this has created in global energy markets. Australia stands with the people of Ukraine. We recognise the desire of our regional partners to grow their economies, to address energy inequality and to reduce poverty. Australia will be working with our rapidly industrialising partners in the region to develop and execute their own decarbonisation pathways consistent with their individual circumstances and priorities. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Australia, thank you. See, now may I invite China.
尊敬的阿里芬主席先生、女士们、先生们，很高兴参加东亚峰会能源部长会。首先，向主席国印尼以及东盟秘书处对会议的精心筹备组织表示诚挚的感谢。
Distinguished President Arifin Tasrif, ladies and gentlemen, it's my great pleasure to attend this meeting. First, I'd like to extend my sincere gratitude to Indonesia and ASEAN Secretariat for their elaborate hospitality.
当前世界局势发生复杂深刻变化。 能源安全是全球发展领域最紧迫的挑战。一方面，国际能源供需平衡、能源资源产业链供应链受到严重冲击，引发能源市场剧烈波动；另一方面，能源消费还将保持刚性增长，新能源安全替代能力还没有完全形成。主席国设立专门的讨论环节，分享互鉴各国经验，探讨多元化的解决方案。 对此表示赞赏和支持。
As we speak, the world landscape is undergoing volatile and intricate changes. Energy security is one of the most pressing challenges facing us. On the one hand, the balance of international energy supply and demand, energy resources, industrial chain and supply chain have been severely impacted, making the energy market choppy. On the other hand, our energy consumption will continue to grow. The new energy is not safe and matured enough to represent the old ones. China applauds and supports Indonesia for setting specific panel or seminar for all countries to share our good practices and know-how and explore diversified solutions.
近年来，中国坚定践行碳达峰、碳中和的承诺，在确保能源安全的基础上。 加快构建新型能源体系，协同推进绿色低碳转型和多元化能源供应，已经取得了系列的积极成效。一是新型能源体系的绿色底色基本形成。2022年，中国非化石能源发电装机占比达到49.6%，非化石能源消费总量和增量稳居世界第一。2023年上半年，中国可再生能源发电装机突破13亿千瓦。 占全国发电总装机的接近一半。二是新型能源体系的安全基础有力夯实，中国建立了传统能源和可再生能源相结合的能源供应体系，能源自给率始终保持在80%以上。三是新型能源体系的创新驱动力持续增强，中国建立了完备的清洁能源装备制造产业链，形成了全球领先的清洁能源产业体系。 四是新型能源体系的体制机制保障不断完善，能源领域基础性制度框架已经建立，构建新型能源体系的动力和活力得到释放和增强。
In recent years, China remains steadfastly to promoting carbon peak and carbon neutrality while ensuring energy safety. We are accelerating the establishment of new energy system. Synergize green low-carbon transition with diversified energy supply. Thus, we have attained a series of results. First, the green is the defining feature of China's new energy system. In 2022, the share of non-fossil fuel energy and the total installed capacity has registered 49.6%. The total energy consumption and increment of non-fossil fuel has remained top in its world. And in the first half of 2023, the installed capacity of renewable energies has exceeded 1,300 gigawatts, accounting nearly half of the national total. The second is the safety of this new energy system is enhancing. China has established the energy supply system integrating traditional energies and renewables, and our national energy self-sufficiency rate has maintained over 80%. The third is the innovation-driven capacity for this new energy system is growing. China has established a complete clean energy equipment manufacturing industrial chain. We have formed the world's leading clean energy industrial system. The fourth is the guarantee for this new energy system is stronger. Now China has established the fundamental framework for this new energy system, and the potential for this system is unleashing and its vitality is strengthening.
碳中和事关各国永续发展和构建人类命运共同体。中国将继续统筹兼顾，保障供应安全与推进转型变革，稳中求进推动能源生产和消费模式的绿色低碳变革。同时，愿同相关方加强能源安全沟通协调，共同维护全球能源市场稳定。
Carbon neutrality matters to the sustainable development of us all, and also the fostering of a community with a shared future for mankind. China will continue to walk the line between the energy supply safety and energy transition, takes steady progress in the green and low carbon transition in energy production and consumption. We are willing to strengthen exchange and dialogue with relevant parties on energy safety to commonly safeguard the global energy market stability.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Excellency Ren. Now, may I invite Japan.
議長ありがとうございます。はじめに本会ご主催のインドネシア政府のホスピタリティ、また努力に心から感謝を申し上げます。また東ティモールの初参加、大変喜ばしいというふうに考えております。
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. First, I'd like to express my gratitude to Indonesia for organizing this meeting and also for your warm hospitality. And I also would like to extend my welcome to Timor-Leste.
本日の会議において、国際社会の喫緊の課題である気候変動対策に資するエネルギートランジションの今後の在り方を議論することは重要であるというふうに考えております。それを踏まえてスピーチをさせていただきます。
At today's meeting, I would like to make this speech because I believe it is important to discuss the future of energy transition that contributes to climate change countermeasures, which is an urgent issue for the international community.
エネルギーを取り巻く国際的な情勢が大きく変化する中、カーボンニュートラル実現という大きな目標に向けては、エネルギー安全保障、持続可能な経済成長、気候変動対策を考慮したバランスの取れたエネルギートランジションを推進することが極めて重要であります。
As the international energy landscape changes dramatically, it is important to promote a balanced energy transition that takes into account energy security, sustainable economic growth, and climate change countermeasures in order to achieve the major goal of carbon neutrality.
日本としてはあらゆる技術やエネルギー源の活用を通じた各国の事情に応じた多様な道筋の下でネットゼロという共通のゴールを目指すことが重要であるというふうに考えております。代替エネルギー源や解決策を見極めながら現実的なトランジションを進める必要があります。また上流投資の促進を含む需給バランスの変化への対応策を通じてすべての人々へのエネルギーアクセスを提供することも重要であります。
Japan believes that it is important to aim for the common goal of net zero under various pathways according to each country's situation through the use of various technologies and energy sources. A realistic transition is necessary, taking into consideration alternative energy sources and solutions. It is also important to provide energy access for all through measures to address changes in the supply-demand balance, including the promotion of upstream investments.
こうした観点から日本はアジアゼロエミッション共同体 ASEC 構想を掲げ、本年3月に ASEC 閣僚会合を初めて開催をいたしました。ASEC を通じて多様かつ現実的なエネルギートランジションの加速化に向けた各国の取り組みを支援をしてまいります。
From this perspective, Japan has been promoting the Asian Zero Emissions Community, or ASEC, concept, and held the first ASEC ministerial meeting in March this year. Through ASEC, Japan will support the efforts of each country to accelerate diverse and realistic energy transition.
最後に福島第一原発のアルプス処理水についてご報告を申し上げます。日本政府は昨日アルプス処理水の海洋放出を開始をいたしました。アルプス処理水の安全性につきましては IAEA の包括報告書において国際基準に合致し人や環境に対し無視できるほどの放射性影響との結論が示されております。
And lastly, let me say a word about the discharge of Fukushima Daiichi Nuclear Power Plant ALPS treated water. The Japanese government held a ministerial meeting and started the discharge yesterday. And as for the safety of ALPS treated water, this meets international standards according to the IAEA comprehensive report, and the impact on humans and the environment is negligible, as was concluded in the report.
我が国は国際法や国際慣行に沿って、周辺の国の地域の方々や自国民の健康や環境に悪影響を与える形での放出を行うことはございません。また海洋放出開始後も IAEA のレビューを継続して受けるとともに、海域のモニタリング情報を迅速に公表するなど透明性の高い情報発信を継続いたします。
Japan, in line with international laws and international practices, will not discharge in a manner that would adversely affect the health or environment of its own citizens or those of neighboring countries and regions. And in addition, even after the start of a discharge, Japan will continue to receive IAEA reviews and will continue to disseminate information in a highly transparent manner, including promptly releasing information on ocean area monitoring.
その上で中国政府はすべての日本産水産物の輸入を全面的に一時停止することを決定したと承知をしているところであります。アルプス処理水の海洋放出が国際安全基準に合致するなどを結論付ける IAEA の包括報告書に対して欧米、アジア、大洋州、南米幅広い地域の国々が支持評価を表明するなど日本の真摯な取り組みについては多くの国から理解支持を得てきているところであります。
But under that situation, I understand that the Chinese government decided to temporarily suspend all imports of Japanese marine products. But with regards to the discharge of ALPS treated water into the sea, according to based on the IAEA comprehensive report concluding that the discharge matches international safety standards, countries from various regions, including Europe, United States, Asia, Oceania, and South America, have expressed their support and evaluation. We have been receiving understanding and support from various countries about the sincere approach that Japan is taking.
EU 諸国等も日本産品の輸入規制を撤廃している中、昨日の中国政府による決定は、この流れに逆行しているものであります。我が国として到底受け入れることができない、即時撤廃を求めるということを復元したいと思います。以上です。
And now that the EU countries also abolished the import restrictions of Japanese products, yesterday's decision by the Chinese government goes against this trend. So yesterday's decision by the Chinese government is absolutely unacceptable by Japan, and we ask for immediate withdrawal. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Excellency. Now we move to the next, New Zealand, please.
Thank you, Chair. Tēnā koutou katoa. I'd first like to acknowledge our host, His Excellency Arifin Tasrif, Minister of Energy and Mineral Resources of Indonesia, and thank him for the arrangements for this meeting. We'd also like to welcome Timor-Leste to its first meeting. This meeting comes at a pivotal time in the global energy transition. We are seeing extreme weather events caused by climate change taking place around the globe, and these are occurring at an increasing rate. We must deliver climate ambition and implementation. Limiting warming to 1.5 degrees is critical for New Zealand, the Pacific, this region, and the world. This is putting a focus on what we can do to rapidly reduce emissions and transition towards a low-carbon, sustainable energy future. We commend ASEAN's efforts to develop the ASEAN strategy for carbon neutrality and to provide transition pathways for the region. We also recognise that the energy challenges faced by a number of countries in ASEAN, including energy security and resilience, to support the region to be an epicentrum of growth and deliver increasing prosperity for its people. We note too that many countries, including those in this region, are working towards reforming and eliminating fossil fuel subsidies. Reforming inefficient fossil fuel subsidies can free up funds to support the energy transition, other government priorities, and provide better targeted assistance to those in need. New Zealand is also supporting ASEAN's transition pathway through a number of renewable energy initiatives in the region to deliver access to safe, affordable, sustainable, modern energy services. Examples include our recent announcement of $15 million for geothermal energy development in Indonesia, building on over 40 years of geothermal partnerships. A renewable energy technical facility has been up and running for Laos, PDR and Cambodia, and we are looking at providing support on energy access in Maluku province in eastern Indonesia. For New Zealand's part, we are working at pace to decarbonise our electricity system and wider energy use. The government has set a target of achieving 100% renewable energy by 2030, with 50% of total energy use coming from renewable sources by 2035. New Zealand has also legislated to become net zero by 2050. We are, of course, lucky that our electricity system is already highly renewable. Currently, it is around 87%, but we still face challenges in managing investment in renewables to meet demand and the challenges of a more intermittent grid. We see two key pathways to achieving our decarbonisation targets. The first is to substantially increase renewable electricity generation to electrify the economy and to enable direct electrification of industry. The second is that we will utilise electricity for the production of green energy like hydrogen for hard-to-electrify sectors and to support economic actors to adopt innovative decarbonisation solutions. An energy strategy is under development to guide our transition to net zero by 2050. Aotearoa New Zealand is committed to supporting the principles of the ASEAN outlook on the Indo-Pacific, because the architecture of the Indo-Pacific, with ASEAN at its centre, remains a critical platform for discussion, including on issues on which we disagree. Conflicts in some part of the world, including Russia's illegal invasion of Ukraine and the crisis in Myanmar, continue to cause significant human suffering and impact on the global economy. These impacts include heightening food and energy insecurity, among others. Aotearoa New Zealand continues to condemn acts of aggression and use of force to resolve differences wherever they occur. We remain committed to peace and to enhancing cooperation to mitigate the economic impact of these conflicts to the region. In closing, I want to emphasise that Aotearoa is committed to working together to find common ground and achieve peace, stability, sustainability and prosperity in the time ahead. Thank you.
Thank you, Excellency, New Zealand. Now we move to the Republic of Korea, please.
Thank you. On behalf of the Republic of Korea Minister of Trade, Industry and Energy, Lee Chang-yang, I would like to express my gratitude, Excellency Arifin Tasrif, Minister of Energy and Mineral Resources of Indonesia, for organizing this meeting. In light of the unstable of uncertainty in global energy supply chain, we need to move forward to bolster our efforts to strengthen energy security and expand the clean energy transition while ensuring a stable power supply. Korea has announced a new energy policy direction, and under the vision to achieve energy security and establish a robust energy system, we set the goal of strengthening energy security, addressing climate change mitigation, and the creation of growth engine through energy technology. We will pursue carbon-free pathways to improve energy dependence and reduce carbon emission involved, adopting a balanced approach to utilizing carbon-free energy sources such as nuclear and renewable energy. As a carbon-free energy source, nuclear energy will be utilized safely, while renewable energy will be feasibly deployed across the national systems. Korea is planning to actively utilize various clean energy technology like nuclear power, renewable energy, hydrogen to achieve carbon neutrality. We believe that this technology will significantly contribute to accelerating a clean, sustainable, just, economical, and inclusive energy transition. In this regard, Korea aims to reduce greenhouse gas emission by promoting hydrogen utilization and announced the new hydrogen policy direction for boosting the hydrogen industry, which is also considered a new growth engine. We are also proud of our considerable expertise in developing hydrogen vehicles as zero-emission vehicles and fuel cell power generators. Moreover, we are promoting social behavior and lifestyle changes to help end users shift to low-emission intensive consumption. This social transition will help effectively minimize energy waste and optimize consumption patterns across society. In addition, we are pursuing policies to ensure stable supply and stockpiling of energy sources, as well as critical minerals essential for clean energy transition, and actively foster new clean energy industry and energy technology such as SMR, hydrogen, energy storage, offshore wind power, and CCUS. The clean energy transition is a global goal that necessitates the efforts of all of us. To the end, Korea will contribute accelerating the clean energy transition. Thank you.
Thank you, Excellency Korea. Now may I invite Russia.
Уважаемый господин председатель, уважаемые коллеги, прежде всего от имени Министерства энергетики Российской Федерации позвольте мне поблагодарить Индонезию за приглашение на 17-ю встречу министров энергетики Восточно-Азиатского саммита и прекрасную организацию этого мероприятия.
Honorable Chair, distinguished colleagues, Excellencies. First of all, on behalf of the Ministry of Energy and the Russian Federation, let me thank Indonesia for the invitation to the 17th EIS Energy Ministers meeting and the excellent organization of this event.
Россия традиционно уделяет повышенное внимание энергетической безопасности.
Russia traditionally pays much attention to the issue of global energy security.
Многолетнее недофинансирование в нефтегазовый сектор и резкое сжатие спроса в результате пандемии коронавируса искажения на рынках западных стран в силу несбалансированной энергоклиматической политики, погодные факторы, а также ограничительные меры против России не способствуют стабильности мировых рынков.
Many years of underinvestment in the oil and gas sector and a sharp contraction in demand as a result of coronavirus pandemic, distortions in the markets of the Western countries due to unbalanced energy and climate policies, weather factors, as well as pro-inflationary monetary policies of the United States, do not correspond current excessive volatility in the global energy markets.
Россия продолжает играть стабильную роль в нынешнем энергорынке не только стабильными поставками в адрес дружественных стран, но и участием в многостороннем регулировании энергетического рынка.
Russia continues to play a stabilizing role in the current energy crisis, not only by constant supplies to friendly countries, but also by participating in multilateral regulations of the energy markets.
Мы убеждены, что укрепление энергетической безопасности возможно путем диверсификации источников энергии, расширения и укрепления международных партнеров, демонополизации рынков сопутствующих услуг, таких как логистических, финансовых, страховых, и создания альтернативных систем платежей, страхования, транспорта, логистики.
We are convinced that energy security can be strengthened by diversifying energy sources, expanding and strengthening international partnerships, demonopolizing markets for related services, including logistics, finance and insurance, and creating alternative payment insurances, transport and logistics systems.
Кроме того, практически у всех наших стран есть трансграничные энергетические проекты друг с другом. В этой связи подчеркиваем настоятельную необходимость укрепления международного сотрудничества для снижения рисков для критически важной трансграничной энергетической инфраструктуры и повышения ее устойчивости к стихийным бедствиям, технологическим инцидентам и техногенным угрозам.
In addition, almost all our countries have cross-border energy projects with each other. In this regard, we emphasize the urgent need to strengthen international cooperation to reduce risks to critical cross-border energy infrastructure and increase its resilience to natural disasters, technological incidents, and man-made threats.
Что касается энергопереходов, мы исходим из принципа диверсифицированного топливно-энергетического баланса с учетом национальных, географических, климатических особенностей, технологической нейтральности и оценки выбросов при использовании различных технологий получения энергии на всем протяжении их жизненного пути.
With regard to energy transitions, we consider the priority of a diversified fuel energy mix, taking into account national, geostrategic and climate specificities, technological neutrality, and the assessment of emissions from use of different energy technologies throughout their life cycle.
С учетом происходящих в мире изменений мы ведем работу по актуализации и пролонгации действующей энергетической стратегии на период до 2050 года, цель которой – качественно новое состояние энергетики Российской Федерации.
Taking into account the changes happening in the world, we are working on updating and extending the current energy strategy for the period up to the year 2050, the goal of which is fundamentally new state of energy sector of the Russian Federation.
Уже сейчас энергетику Российской Федерации отличает высокая доля неуглеродных источников энергии. Их доля в балансе выработки электрической энергии в России более 85%. Атомная энергетика почти 20%, гидроэлектростанция почти 18%, газ 48%.
The Russian energy sector is already characterized by a high percentage of low-carbon energy sources. Their share in the balance of electricity generation in Russia is more than 85%. Nuclear power plants account for 20%, hydroelectric power plants for 18%, solar and wind power plants for 1%, and natural gas-based generation for 48%.
Намерено и далее развивать безуглеродную атомную генерацию, гидроэнергетику, водородную энергетику. В 2021 году принята концепция развития водородной энергетики в России.
We intend to further develop carbon-free nuclear power generation, hydropower and hydrogen power. In 2021, Russia adopted the concept of hydrogen energy development.
Мы единодушны со странами ВАС в вопросах поддержки целей устойчивого развития ООН, прежде всего в части обеспечения надежного, доступного энергоснабжения, а также содействия в снижении энергетической бедности и обеспечения всеобщего доступа к энергии. Спасибо за внимание.
We're unanimous with other EAS countries in supporting the UN Sustainable Development Goals. First of all, in terms of ensuring reliable and affordable energy supply, as well as helping to reduce energy poverty and ensuring universal access to energy. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Excellency Russia. Now we move to, may I invite United States?
Let me start with echoing a big thanks, Minister Tasrif, to you and your team, our Indonesian hosts, for just an excellent discussion and all the phenomenal hospitality. So just wanted to make sure to state that very clearly up front. I also want to thank all the ministers and their teams that my team and I have had a chance to have some rich bilateral conversations. So just appreciate the time that we've had with other teams as well. Going last has its advantages. And what I thought I might do is just put aside my prepared remarks and just reflect on what I have heard here today. And what I've heard is really two overriding sentiments from all ministers around the table who have spoken. The first is just what a gargantuan task we all have individually and we all have together. Being now Deputy Secretary of the United States over the last 2.5 years, this is a tough job. These are tough jobs. These are tough jobs even in normal circumstances. To try to make sure that we have affordable energy, reliable energy, resilient energy, energy security for our people, for our countries. In normal circumstances, that's an incredibly difficult job, literally keeping the lights on for our fellow citizens in our countries. But this, of course, is not normal circumstances, and that came through again and again in the different interventions that we heard today. We face an energy transition like no other in the history of humanity. All the net zero goals that our countries have put on the table, rightfully so, because that's what science tells us we need to do, we should just take a step back and appreciate what the task is in front of us to fundamentally transform our energy economies in just a few decades period of time. Not just electricity, but transportation, buildings, industry. This is a huge, huge shared task in front of you. So just to share that personal sentiment that I heard expressed, but echoing back here in this concluding intervention in this session. The second overriding sentiment that I heard is if we're going to be successful with this gargantuan task, it's going to require an awful lot of true partnership. True partnership bilaterally, government to government, and we heard a lot of good examples of that today. True partnership in powerful organizations like ASEAN, to make sure that we can work multilaterally, and partnership between the public sector and the private sector and all others in the ecosystem that we all work in within our countries and certainly internationally as well. Now, how do we be a true partner? The U.S. strives to be a true partner with everyone around the table. I offer up 3 principles for your consideration, again, as I reflect on what I've heard from the terrific interventions here today. The first principle is we all need to appreciate that what we do and the decisions that our governments make, that our leaders make, can have huge implications and ramifications for the rest of the world, certainly our neighbors, but for the rest of the world. We live in an interconnected world, and I think we should appreciate that and understand what that really means as decisions are made in our respective countries. Let me give you 2 examples of what I mean by that. First example, and I want to associate myself with the comments by our Australian colleague, is Russia's decision, Vladimir Putin's decision to invade a neighbor. Illegal, barbaric, I won't get into the horrific human cost that that has had in Ukraine, but it's also unsettled global markets in energy to a huge extent. I'll just give you one data point on that. Estimates here, Asian importers of LNG, it's estimated that you all paid 80 to 100 billion US dollars more just in 2022 than you would have if Russia hadn't invaded Ukraine and unsettled energy markets. That is a huge amount of additional payment, extra volatility in an energy system that we don't need the volatility right now. A second example of how our own actions domestically can have implications internationally, and I'll take my own country. We passed over the last 2 years historic legislation. I'm incredibly proud of that historic legislation. The U.S. is stepping up to our responsibilities to get our own house in order when it comes to climate change and clean energy. I think that's going to have huge positive benefits, especially in the medium and long term, to drive down costs. When we do things at scale, we're a big country, we lower costs. We very much hope that'll be the case. I'm very confident that'll be the case, and it'll hopefully make everyone's energy transition a little easier. What I want to acknowledge here is there's some rough edges in that legislation, and we're eager to have conversations with any countries who want to have conversations to stand down those rough edges and try to make sure that we work in true partnership with all of you as we implement this historic legislation domestically. All right, so that's the first principle. Second principle I'd like to share is we should look for mutually beneficial opportunities. And I don't just mean mutually beneficial in the rhetoric that we sometimes put in place with statements when our leaders get together, but genuinely mutually beneficial opportunities. One example I'd like to highlight that we're very eager to work with you all on, and that is global clean energy supply chains. We have such an economic opportunity in front of our countries if we step up to the plate and we work in true partnership with mutually beneficial opportunities. The U.S. stands firmly in working with countries who are endowed with natural resources, critical minerals or otherwise, for you to take advantage of those, not just in terms of mining responsibly, but moving up the value chain so you can get that economic opportunity for your people from those natural resources in your country. We think that's a win-win for the global system. We think that's a win-win for your people, and look forward to working with countries around the table. The third principle I'd offer up for true partnership is to proactively offer help when you think, as a country, you have something to bring to the table. You have some comparative advantage that you can bring to the table that would be helpful for your partners. In the United States, we're incredibly lucky to have 17 national laboratories in our country that the U.S. Department of Energy coordinates. For those who saw the Oppenheimer movie, Los Alamos was the very first of those national laboratories, but we have 16 others, including the National Laboratory in California that had the breakthrough in fusion energy late last year. We have this phenomenal technical expertise. It's what we rely upon to implement our own domestic energy policies. We want to make that available to countries, to ASEAN as a whole, if you're interested to share from that expertise so that we can learn from each other in real time. It's something called Net Zero World, and thank you for the comments by some of our partners who are already part of this Net Zero World partnership. We're eager to explore those partnerships with others who are interested. So let me conclude, Mr. Chair, with a big thank you. I thank you for the rich discussion in this plenary room, a rich discussion in the bilaterals. But I want to conclude with an even more important thank you, and that's to all of you, all of your teams, for stepping up to this gargantuan task we individually face, we collectively face, and to work in true partnership so we can be true to responsibility that we've all been given in these positions. So the United States will strive to be that true partner and looks forward to working with all of you on that gargantuan task in front of us. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Excellency. Well, we conclude we hear listen to all the issues that raised coming from the ASEAN countries and also from the participating countries. Now we move to the agenda 5.4. It's just a discussion. We have heard updates from ASEAN secretariats, East ASEAN member states, and of other East Asia Summit participating countries. I could observe that we are on the same page in viewing the importance of fostering clean and renewable energy to accelerate energy transition. Now I open the floor for the discussion. Okay, I think if there is no issue to be discussed, then we can wrap up all the matters. I request ASEC ASEAN Secretariat to take note for all of the issues that have been raised and reflected in the report of the meeting. Thank you for the participation for all ASEAN countries, friends, and then all the friends from the participation countries that you already contribute regarding the development policies and then the cooperation, which is very fruitful in order to strengthen the relationship between ASEAN and UR. Now we will have a coffee break. I give back the time to the MC for the housekeeping announcement.
Thank you very much indeed, Excellency Chair. Ladies and gentlemen, we will have a break, very short break, as we are expecting now the arena delegates to proceed to boardroom. Thank you. Be seated as we would like to continue to the next station. Thank you indeed. Ladies and gentlemen, kindly proceed to ballroom as the next session will begin shortly. Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention, please, as the next agenda of the meeting will begin very soon. Excellencies, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen. IRENA delegates are here, and I would like to invite now the chair to lead the next meetings of the 17th East Asia Summit Energy Ministers meeting today. His Excellency Bapak Arifin Tasrif, please, the floor is yours.
Well, thank you. Welcome back again to the meeting rooms. Excellencies, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen. We come to the next agenda, number 6.1. I may invite the ASEAN Secretariat to brief us on the ASEAN economic, I repeat that we come to the agenda number 6. We will exchange views with international organizations, area, and IRENA on the opportunities for green growth in decarbonizing and transitioning the energy sector. And then we would like to invite the ASEAN Secretariat ASEC to brief us on the ASEAN economic and trade outlook and major initiatives that support supply chains resiliency to achieve ASEAN's sustainable agenda. ASEC, you have the floor first.
Thank you, Excellency Chair, and very good morning again to Your Excellencies, EAS, Energy Ministers, and distinguished delegates. My report today will cover, next slide please, ASEAN economic and trade outlook, Second, initiative on supply chain resilience. And third, ASEAN sustainability agenda. And last, we would like to humbly suggest some recommendation on enhancing EAS energy cooperation for advancing green growth. Next slide, please. As you could see in this figure, the trade values between ASEAN and EAS partners has grown from $1.4 trillion to $1.9 trillion that account for 50% of total trade value of ASEAN. And for FDI inflow also grow up to $94.2 billion in 2022 last year. That's account for about 42% of ASEAN total FDI inflow. And on your left, shown GDP growth. As you can see, for global GDP, it estimated to be about 3% this year, and also projected to remain the same, 3% next year. However, for ASEAN, I am very pleased to have to share with you this good news that ASEAN this year GDP will increase to around 4.6% and projected to grow to 4.9% this year. Excellency, although some EAS economy are advancing at a slower pace, we believe that the collective strength of ASEAN and other major economies in the region maintain resilience and together reinforce EAS economies as a defining force in the global economy. Next slide, please. On fostering resilience, efforts to address food and energy resilience in the ASEAN region through the ongoing supply chain analysis of specific product groups on food security and energy resilience. We are working on it and nearly close to completion. The idea is to evaluate supply chain bottlenecks for 10 major food and energy product groups and identify recommendations to improve supply chain efficiencies and resilience, especially in the light of this numerous supply chain disruption experience in the last few years. For your kind information, for energy sector, we are looking at 5 products as shown on the screen: crude oil, non-crude oil, including petroleum oils, maritime fuel, bunker fuel, jet fuel, and diesel, petroleum gases, including LNG, coal, and photovoltaic cells. This is to evaluate supply chain bottlenecks and develop recommendations to improve supply chain efficiencies and overall energy resilience in the region. Next slide, please. Excellency, I'm pleased to share with you that ASEAN is currently undertaking several initiatives to advance our sustainability agenda. Next slide, please. I'm pleased to inform you that the operationalization of the framework for circular economy for the AEC is done to the implementation plan, which focuses on sectoral and cost-cutting initiative. And we have the work program which covers capacity building activities as well. The implementation plan identifies 67 initiatives for the short to medium term or up to 2030, and is composed of programs that address the 5 strategic priorities in the framework. The first phase covers 3 high-impact sectors, namely agriculture, energy, and transport, and may later be expanded to other sectors. In this regard, we look forward to collaboration with EAS partners to accomplish these initiatives. Next slide, please. Excellency, in addition to circular economy, I'm also pleased to share this great news on ASEAN strategy for carbon neutrality. As I has mentioned in the previous agenda, that this one has just endorsed by the 55th ASEAN Economic Ministers last week and to be adopted by AEC Council in September. This climate neutral strategy, as I mentioned before again, is not intended to create a new climate ambition for ASEAN, but to develop regional approaches that will complement each AMS effort towards their NDC goals. To highlight, there are 8 regional strategies and 16 specific initiatives, as you see in this slide, and specific to energy sector, as highlighted in yellow here, we have initiative on enable ASEAN feedstocks pathway for biofuels, coordinate development of regional policies and regulation to support CCS and CCUS infrastructure. And the third initiative involve enable regional power trading, physical interconnection, and policy cooperation. And last but not least, initiative on energy is to promote regional energy efficiencies and conservation. Once again, we see opportunity to collaborate with EAS partners to implement this ASEAN strategy. Next slide, please. Excellency, distinguished delegates, I would like to also note on this blue economy framework, which also expected to endorsed by the AEC and the ACC Council and adopted by the ASEAN leader at the 43rd Summit in September. This blue economy framework is also one of the priority economic deliverables under Indonesia's 2023 chairmanship. The blue economy framework seeks an approach to create value-added and value chain of resources from oceans, seas, and fresh water in an inclusive and sustainable way, making blue economy a new engine for ASEAN future economic growth. The framework provides indicative sector pilot activities, including those particularly to renewable and non-renewable energy. The framework also serves as a good platform to align and thereby boost the energy sector's current APEC initiative. For instance, offshore wind with the framework, and to explore further implementation opportunities via post-2025 plan. Next slide, please. Excellency, we are also pleased to highlight that version 2 of the ASEAN Taxonomy for Sustainable Finance was just released in March this year. This version 2 of the taxonomy prioritized the energy sector with respect to early development of technical screening criteria and for introducing criteria for classifying the early retirement of coal-fired power plants. The ASEAN taxonomy is intended to be a living document and is expected to be periodically revised to account for technological, scientific, and economic development. Next slide, please. Excellency, distinguished delegates, noting the importance of the energy sector to advance green growth in our region, we would like to humbly suggest EAS Energy Cooperation to strengthen cooperation on capacity building for circular economy in the energy sector. We further encourage our EAS partners to work closely with ASEAN to develop new projects to support the implementation of the ASEAN carbon neutrality strategy. And lastly, noting the abundance of potential for blue economy, we also suggest exploring new EAS initiatives that seek to advance the commercialization of blue renewable energy projects. We look forward to the exchange and opportunity for green growth in decarbonizing and transitioning in energy sector. Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you, ASEAN Secretary. Now we will invite the ASEAN Center for Energy to brief us on the ASEAN energy sector's outlook.
Thank you, Your Excellency, Chair, and good morning, Your Excellencies, Ministers. I'd like to present the ASEAN energy outlook in response to the expected economic growth in the region. Next slide, please. A brief recap of recent developments within ASEAN. In 2022, we witnessed the full impact of energy disruptions, leading to a peak in price volatility. Nonetheless, there were several noteworthy advancements in terms of the interconnection. We launched the first multilateral trading involving 4 member state countries, Laos, BDR, Thailand, Malaysia, and Singapore power interconnection projects, featuring a capacity of 100 megawatts. Furthermore, Southeast Asia inaugurated its longest 220 kV offshore power transmission line, now operational to supply electricity to Phuoc, Vietnam, the largest island. As of 2023, significant milestones have been reached, including the establishment of the first cross-border wind power plant in Southeast Asia, the monsoon wind, the ASEAN leaders' declaration to foster the electric vehicles industry, and various initiatives culminating in this week ASEAN Ministers on Energy meeting AMEM and its associated meetings. Next slide. Energy security is paramount. ASEAN has maintained a steady annual population growth rate ranging between 1% to 1.3%, slightly higher than the global population growth rate. This growth led to a population of 792 million people by 2050. The ASEAN real GDP growth rate fluctuates between 3 to 7%, except for the 4% a dip during the COVID-19 pandemics in 2020. Projected from 2020 to 2050, the GDP is anticipated to expand by 3.8 times from 7.8 trillion to 30 trillion US dollars. Corresponding to this rapid economic expansion, the primary energy supply within ASEAN is predicted to increase by 4 times from 2020 to 2050, assuming no transition measures are implemented. However, the implementation of energy efficiency measures could curtail this growth to 3 times with national measures or ATS, 2.7 times with regional target or APS, and 2.5 times with power cost optimization or least cost optimization or LCO. Notably, fossil fuel will continue to dominate, particularly oil in the transport sectors and coal in power and industry sectors, Your Excellencies. Next slide. The energy transition in progress. ASEAN, through its regional targets, fully understand the role of energy transition in securing energy sustainability. The region has made significant strides in augmenting renewable power installation. By 2021, the share of RE installed power capacity had reached 33.6%, indicating 0.3% increase from 2020. The installed RE capacity amounted to 99 gigawatt out of total 295 gigawatt. Although this value exceeded the baseline scenario of ASEAN Energy Outlook 7 by 1.5% points, but still fall short by 0.6% point and 1.9% points in comparison to the ATS and APS pathways, respectively. A projection using the latest data, the RE in power capacity is projected to reach 36.9% by 2025, surpassing the regional target of 35%. The energy transition can be expedited through energy cooperation and innovation, principles that ASEAN firmly believes in and actively promotes. Among other strategies, the realization of ASEAN cross-border interconnection system under the ASEAN Power Grid stand out as a cost-optimized solution capable of driving higher penetration of RE, including solar and wind. Building upon the success of LTMS-PIP, the region is planning to upgrade the system, including the addition of Cambodia, as well as introducing a new initiative such as PIMP-PIP, Your Excellencies. Next slide. Financing can serve as both a bottleneck and a catalyst for the energy transition, shifting from current fossil fuel dependent system to one focused on renewable energy which requires substantial investment. In the power sectors, energy efficiency gains importance through demand reduction. And according to the IO 7, investment requirements will range between 726 to 1 trillion trillion between 2021 up until 2050. Comparing to the IO7 scenarios with the second RE outlook by ARENA and ACE, higher investment are needed to meet elevated electricity demand and a greater RE share. For instance, the IO7 APS with 27.4 end-use electrification and 67.9 RE share in power generation demands $726 billion investment. However, with 52% electrification and 90% RE share in the power generation, it required investment surged 5 times to $3.7 trillion in power sectors and up to $7.4 trillion across all sectors, which is indicating a significant increase, Your Excellencies. The LCO scenario prioritizing cost optimization emerged that the most economical option and costing $144 billion less than the APS, or approximately $528 billion. The power mix generally leans towards coal and hydro over gas, solar, and wind. Crucial factors influencing investment needs include the electrification rate in end-use sectors and the share of RE in the power sectors, Your Excellency. For that, I am ending my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, ACE. Now we will hear views from area on the initiative to support green growth, transition, and energy sector decarbonization. Professor Nishimura, please.
Thank you. Distinguished ministers, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Please show slide. Yeah, next slide, please. As a result of Paris Agreement and the Glasgow Climate Pact, areas energy research activities in recent years are increasingly focused on climate change-related ones, including ASEAN decarbonization scenario. Next slide, please. Next. Yeah. Area's scenario analysis on carbon neutrality pathway clearly shows the importance of transition technologies. Early, partial, and deep decarbonization of fossil power generation is crucial for ASEAN's decarbonization pathways. Next, please. With this in mind, we published Technology List and Perspectives on Transition Finance in Asia. It covers transition technology in upstream and the power sector, accounting for over 50% of total regional CO2 emissions. They include such technologies as CCGT, low carbon ammonia, and hydrogen CCUS. 6 perspectives were considered in defining transition technologies, namely emissions impact, lock-in prevention, do no serious harm, affordability, reliability maturity, and last, social acceptance. Next slide, please. Deployment of transition technologies calls for investment. That is why transition finance is truly crucial. Area has been participating in the Asia Transition Finance Study Group with 20 commercial banks, 6 development banks, and export credit agencies, 13 public agencies, and finance associations. Next slide, please. Asia Transition Finance Guidelines covers basics and applications for transition finance so as to be able to guide transition finance beginners. From year 2023, Area started to take the lead in the study group to further refine the guidelines and familiarize the concept of transition finance to other financial institutions and stakeholders within the region. Through such activities, several challenges are identified. Next slide, please. project utilizing transition finance has not yet materialized. Awareness of transition finance is low. In order to boost transition projects, public authorities should prepare sectoral and national transition roadmaps, regulations, local supply chains, and carbon markets. Financial assistance such as blended finance and dedicated funds could also facilitate transition pilot projects. Fundamental project is different interpretation of transition finance. In other words, different approach in emphasis on 1.5-degree goal or Paris Agreement temperature goal. Since developed countries have strong influence in global standard setting, finance institutions tend to be hesitant in providing finance to transition technologies such as CCGT and ammonia. This could impede pragmatic transition. Next slide, please. Therefore, I would like to emphasize one point before closing. Asian region should raise their voices in the global debate and fora about their unique energy transition challenges, the need of diverse, pragmatic, and stepwise energy transitions, and the transition finance tailored for the regional energy reality. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Area. Now we come to the item 6.4. We will hear views from Irina on the supporting policy towards green growth and creating opportunities for new green industries, jobs, and technologies. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. It's a real pleasure to address you today at the 17th ASEAN Summit Energy Ministers meeting. The world stands at a pivotal crossroads. The escalating climate crisis demands immediate and concerted action. Achieving net zero emission by 2050 or even earlier has become a global imperative. Next slide, please. To limit global warming to 1.5 Celsius, we must cut CO2 emissions by around 37 gigatons from 2022 levels and achieve net zero emission in the energy sector by 2050. This transition requires a complete transformation of how we consume and produce energy. Next slide, please. While some progress has been made, the pace of the energy transition is unequal and insufficient. And you can see this very clearly on the slide. If you look Africa and if you look the richer part of the world. In 2022, around 300 gigawatts of renewable power capacity was added globally. But to stay on the 1.5 Celsius pathway, annual deployment of 1,000 gigawatts of renewable power until 2030 is necessary. It means to triple the today early installed capacity. Most climate pledges have not been translated into actionable national strategies, and investment remain deeply inadequate. Not to mention that 85% of this renewable energy investment benefited less than 50% of the world population. And the number concerning Africa, I think, are so evident to be dramatic in this respect. Next slide, please. Taking a regional view, Asian countries stand at a crossroads of opportunities and challenges. Energy needs have surged by around 3% annually for 2 decades, with fossil fuel making up 77% of total energy supply. However, renewables like bioenergy, geothermal, hydro, solar, and wind have risen from 30.1% to 7.5%. In fact, the region has the potential to become a renewable energy leader, but identifying the barriers and crafting careful solutions will be crucial in the next few years. Next slide, please. ARENA has identified specific barriers that will impede just and inclusive progress in emerging and developed countries. 3 points. First, we need to refocus on physical infrastructure, ensuring that the new system accommodates those who have been left behind. This includes investment in grid, interconnectivity, trade routes and sea routes, and production locations that align with changing patterns of trade and demand. This is what we have been here on this cross-country connection. And I think that in this topic, the multilateral financial system has to be the main actor. Second, we must develop policy and regulatory frameworks that account for the evolving dynamics of the energy transition. Third, we need a strategic shift in institutional capacities to align skills and capabilities with the new energy system. Next slide, please. Indeed, at the ASEAN regional level, the 1.5 scenario could boost employment substantially, from around 1.3 million currently to around 3 million by 2030 and some 5.1 million by 2050. Our socioeconomic report reveals that the region stands to achieve not only economic and employment growth, but also a strong 11% improvement in social welfare by 2050. The region should prioritize climate action, foster national collaboration for ambitious emission reduction, and encourage local and private sector participation. And we have seen the number that has been presented by our colleague from ASEAN, what this means in terms of investment every year. So strengthening manufacturing, skill development, and IID can drive a local workforce for the transition. Commitments to renewables, ending fossil fuel subsidies, investing in infrastructure, and adopting smart grid technology will accelerate progress. While the challenges and the scale of the transition are monumental, so too are the opportunities. Thank you, and happy to answer any of your questions. Thank you very much. Back to you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Lacamera from ARENA. Now we will have a discussion session with the international organizations. We'll open the floor for the discussion. You have the floor, please.
China.
From China?
Yeah.
Please.
首先，我要强调指出，昨天2023年8月24号，日本政府无视国际社会的强烈质疑和反对，单方面强行启动福岛核事故污染水排海。中方对此表示坚决反对和强烈谴责，已向日方提出严正交涉，要求日方停止这一错误行为。
Yesterday, the Japanese government has ignored the strong condemnation and opposition from the international community, unilaterally discharged the nuclear wastewater from Fukushima nuclear power plant into the ocean, which China stands firm against. And we have made our solemn representations to Japanese counterparts, and we require Japan to stop this misconduct.
这一错误行为也与我们今天讨论可持续发展的议题格格不入。
And this misconduct is against our topic of pursue sustainable development.
日本福岛核事故污染水处置是重大的核安全问题，具有跨国界的影响，绝不是日本一家的私事。自人类和平利用核能以来，人为向海洋排放核事故污染水是没有先例的，也没有公认的处置标准。
Japanese disposal of nuclear wastewater is a catastrophic nuclear safety disaster, and it is matters to all nations in this world. It's not a domestic affair of Japan. And since the peaceful utilization of nuclear power, there's no precedent of discharging nuclear wastewater into the sea, and there's no unanimously recognized standard of nuclear wastewater disposal.
海洋是全人类的共同财产，强行启动向海洋排放福岛核污水，属于无视国际公共利益的极端自私和不负责任之举。日本的所作所为将风险转嫁给了全世界。
The ocean is a common prosperity of all humankind, and Japanese action of forcefully discharging the nuclear wastewater into the ocean is ignoring the international common interests. It is utter selfishness and irresponsibility, and it will let the entire world to bear the risks.
中国政府一贯坚持人民至上、生命至上，将采取一切的必要措施，维护食品安全和中国人民的身体健康。
And Chinese government attaches great importance to its people, and we adopt a policy of people-oriented. We will take all necessary policies and measures to safeguard our food safety and the safe health of our people.
中国不是核污染水的排放方，作为核污染水排放方的日方没有资格要求中国撤销保护中国人民生命健康的决定。
China is not one to discharge nuclear wastewater into the ocean, so there is no responsibility for the Japanese side to ask China to remove our decision of protecting the safety of our people.
气候变化和能源问题是当前突出的全球性挑战，事关国际社会共同利益，也关乎人类共同家园的美好未来。 这些问题挑战是在发展过程中产生的，必须通过发展来解决，特别是通过合作发展来解决。
Climate change and energy problems are prominent global challenges matters to the common interests of the international community and also the brighter future of us all. And these challenges is produced during the process of development, and it must rely on development to resolve, especially through the cooperation.
为此，中国国家主席习近平2021年和2022年先后提出全球发展倡议和全球安全倡议。具体到能源领域，中方同多个国家一道倡导建立了全球清洁能源合作伙伴关系，在推动清洁能源在全球能源变革中发挥主导作用。
For which Chinese President Xi Jinping has put forth the Global Development Initiative and Global Security Initiative in 2022 and 2021, respectively. When it comes to energy, China has fostered clean energy cooperation partnerships with multiple countries for the purpose to promote clean energy development, and which has played a dominant role in global energy transition.
我们有5大领域实施行动：一是扩大清洁能源投资；2是深化清洁能源合作；3是推动清洁能源产业融合；4是引领能源结构转型；5是挖掘能源技术创新潜力。
The partnership covers 5 major areas. The first is to expand the investment into clean energy. The second is to deepen the clean energy cooperation. The third is to further integrate the clean energy resource industries. The fourth is to lead the global energy mix transition. And the fifth is to unleash the potential of energy technologies.
中国期待与各国一道，通过全球清洁能源合作伙伴关系，共同推动能源绿色低碳转型与高质量发展。
China is looking forward to working with the rest of the world through our global clean energy partnership to commonly promote the energy, green and low carbon transition with high quality development.
通过刚才的介绍，我们感受到区域各方携手共进的努力，也祝贺东盟能源合作行动计划取得的进展。中方全面支持东盟秘书处推动实施东盟能源合作行动计划，将继续在东亚峰会、东盟+3、中国东盟等机制下，联合东盟能源中心以及东盟成员国共同开展交流活动与联合研究，加强技术经验的分享。
And according to the introduction from the ministers in the before, I fear that the efforts done by regional countries in working together to pursue energy development, and I'd like to concrete the active progress in ASEAN Energy Cooperation Action Plan, and China fully supports ASEAN Secretary in implementing the ASEAN Energy Cooperation Action Plan, and will continue to further our dialogue and joint research with East Asia Summit, with ASEAN +3 and ASEAN plus China and many other mechanisms to strengthen our knowledge sharing.
中国始终倡导并践行多边主义，积极支持国际组织发挥作用。今天受邀出席会议的国际机构的代表也是中方的老朋友，比如说RINA 的卡梅拉先生那么。
China has always championed and practiced the multilateralism. We actively support international organization to leverage its potentials. And today, the international organization representatives invited are also Chinese old friends. For example, Mr. Camela from IRENA.
近年来，区域内国际组织为区域能源转型进程贡献了不少有价值的政策建议和多样且前沿的解决方案。期待未来有更多契合区域合作需求的国际组织出现，为区域绿色发展注入新的动力。
In recent years, regional international organizations have provided a lot of valuable advices and good solutions for regional energy transition. And we're also looking forward in the future, there will be more international organizations that will provide the development in the regional cooperation and inject new impetus into regional green development. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you. Thank you for your sides, especially on the energy. Is there any other Okay, Laos, please.
Thank you, Excellency Chair, or ES Excellency, ladies and gentlemen. LAPIDA would like to exchange view to the international organization area and arena presentation, which LAPIDA recognize the need to address the climate change, promote energy sustainability, and accelerate. We do believe that each country has their own transition pathway, and so they shall enhance collaboration to look a way forward to green economy and creating new green industry. On a related note, we look forward to explore more cooperation initiative under EAS, especially on the connectivity, tangible initiative regarding energy efficiency and conservation, and low carbon energy technologies, including mobilizing finance from wide variety of sources and conduct of capacity building to increase clean technology deployment to support energy security and diversity of supply and the region transition. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Laos. Now, Japan, but I would like to remind you again that we are in the consensus to bring the energy issues. So we honor all the opinion, but please be focused on our subject. Thank you.
議長ありがとうございます。これまでの作業部会のご尽力された皆様に感謝申し上げますとともに、それぞれ着実な進捗が見られることを嬉しく思います。日本は80に基づきエネルギートランジションのロードマップ策定の支援や人材育成を実施すると包括的な支援策を実施してまいりました。加えてアジアの民間金融機関を主体としたアジアトランジションファイナンススタディグループにおいてトランジション技術に対してより資金を提供しやすくなるよう具体的な検討が進められていることを歓迎をいたします。
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would like to thank everybody who contributed to the working groups, and I'm pleased to see the steady progress made in each of them. Japan has been implementing comprehensive support measures under the 80, including support for the formulation of an energy transition roadmap and human resource development. And I also welcome the fact that the Asian Transition Finance Study Group, which is led by private sector financial institutions in Asia, is now working on concrete steps to make it easier to fund transition technologies.
また、エリアとの間ではカーボンリサイクル CCUS 等あらゆるエネルギー源技術の活用に向け多様な分野での協力が進んでいることを歓迎いたします。エリアには今後も地域のエネルギー研究の中心として域内の政策立案に貢献する研究を進め有益な政策提言を行うことを期待をしております。これらの結果を活用することで ASEAN 各国が自らのカーボンニュートラルに向けた方向性を示しその達成に向けてロードマップを策定することにより現実的なトランジションの道を選んでいくことが重要であります。
I also welcome the cooperation with AREA in various fields to utilize all energy sources and technologies such as carbon recycling, CCUS, and others. I expect AREA to continue to be the center of energy policy research for the region, conducting research that contributes to policy making in the region and making useful policy recommendations. It is important that the results of these studies be used by ASEAN countries to set their own direction towards carbon neutrality and to develop their roadmap for achieving this goal, thereby moving forward on a realistic transition path.
そして ACE には今後も変化する ASEAN のエネルギー情勢について ASEAN エネルギーアウトルック発行等を通じて重要な情報発信をいただけることを期待をしております。以上です。
And I also hope that ACE will continue to provide important information on the changing energy situation in ASEAN through the publication of an ASEAN Energy Outlook and other publications. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Excellency Nakatani. If there is no other comments, Australia, please.
Chair Makasi. Thank you, Chair. Australia welcomes the focus on just transitions, recognising that just transition is one that engages all affected communities. Australia believes that an energy transformation that is orderly, inclusive and just will be a source of significant economic opportunity for all in the Asia-Pacific region and beyond. Our government has been upfront with our coal and gas communities that the world is changing. Change is hard, but change managed well creates opportunities. The Australian government will help communities manage the transition and is moving quickly to do so by committing to establish a national net zero authority. The authority will have responsibility for promoting the orderly and positive economic transformation associated with achieving net zero emissions. Once established, the new legislated authority will support workers in emissions-intensive sectors to gain access to new employment, skills and other means of support, coordinate programs and policies across government to support regions and communities to attract and maximise new clean energy industries and to set those industries up for success, and help investors and companies to engage with net zero transformation opportunities. Australia is eager to discuss with others how we can take this work forward in a way that catalyses ambition and maximises opportunity for all. And we look forward to sharing experiences across the region. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Excellency. So I think we conclude the discussion. From the presentation and the discussion, we can observe that ASEAN and other East Asian Summit countries have the same goal, to achieve sustainability, including in the energy sector. This goal aligns with the agenda of AREA and IRENA. Therefore, we could strengthen our cooperation with AREA and IRENA to pursue our shared goal in achieving just and inclusive energy transition. We thank you all. And then, before we continue, I will allow IRENA to leave the room. Gracias. Next, we come to the agenda number 7. I invite Indonesia to brief us on the progress and accomplishment of the East Asia Summit Energy Cooperation 2022-2023, as well as the future work plans. Indonesia.
Please show slide. So the slide, please. Excellency, Mr. Chair, distinguished Minister, delegates, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to report the East Asia Summit Energy Cooperation Task Force, ECTF. Next slide, please. Our report including the progress and plan of the 3 Energy Cooperation Task Force work stream. Next slide, please. In energy efficiency and conservation work stream areas that led by Japan and Thailand, there are 2 programs, namely Energy Audit for Distributed Energy System and EAS Energy Outlook. For Energy Audit, this program is targeted to be completed in next year. Then for the EAS Energy Outlook, the updated report will be finished by 2024. Next slide, please. in terms of biofuels for transport and other purpose work stream led by Philippines and India. This program includes joint research led by AREA to analyze the utilization of biofuels and its emission reduction. Then there are proposals to study on analysis of water energy food, correlation to biomass utilization. The project is expected to be finished in 3 years. Next slide, please. In renewable energy and alternative power generation work stream areas led by Brunei Darussalam and Republic of Korea, there are 3 programs. First, pre-feasibility studies of wind power in Brunei led by Republic of Korea. Capacity building seminar in hydrogen technologies led by Brunei and Republic of Korea. Third, clean energy forum led by China. Next slide, please. And then I would like to report recommendation to ASEAN. Next. There are 3 current projects ongoing initiative under ECTF workstream. 1, energy efficiency and conservation in transport and industry workstream. We would like to recommend ASEAN to enhance cooperation in energy efficiency in transport and industry. 2, biofuels for transport and other purposes workstream. We recommend ASEAN to explore the cooperation in sustainable aviation fuel, flexible fuel vehicle and bioenergy with carbon capture and storage. Third, renewable energy and alternative power generation work stream. We recommend ASEAN to align the activities with ASEAN long-term renewable energy roadmap and strengthen cooperation nuclear fusion and small modular reactors. Next slide, please. We like to report the other initiative. Next. There are 4 other initiatives that we like to recommend to the ASEAN. 1, for Australia, there are 2 activities on climate change and energy transition and energy cooperation. 2, for Japan, we have 3 activities which are Japan-led Asia Zero Emission Community, AZEC, Asia Energy Transition Initiative, and Asia CCUS Network. 3, for Russia, we have power plant and on energy cooperation in oil, gas, and other sector. And for US, we have 2 activities which are ASEAN US Energy Cooperation Work Plan and Southeast Asia Smart Power Program, SPP. Next slide, please. That's all that we could report to you, Excellencies. Thank you for your attention. We hope Excellency Minister could provide endorsement of this report.
Now, thank you. Now may I open for discussion, if any? Yes, from China.
China,
please.
感谢主席先生、各位同事、各位代表。东亚峰会清洁能源论坛已经走过10年，见证了区域清洁能源发展与合作。借这个机会，也感谢大家各位同事一直以来对论坛的支持。今年，中方将同主席国印尼能矿部在中国海南省共同主办第6届的论坛，期待与大家相聚在美丽的海南省，共商区域更加绿色包容的能源未来。谢谢。
Thank you, President Arifin Tasrif, dear colleagues, representatives. This East Asia Summit Clean Energy Forum has been 10 years long. It has witnessed the development and cooperation of regional clean energy. Today, I'd like to avail myself of this opportunity to express you for your support for our forum. And this year, China will co-host with Indonesia in China's southern province, Hainan Island, the 6th forum. We wish we could gather once again in the beautiful Hainan to jointly consult for a more inclusive and green regional energy future? Thank you.
Thank you, China. Any other additional? Well, if there is no more comments, therefore, we adopt the report. Thank you, East Asia Summit and participating countries for your support in implementing the work plan on energy cooperation. Then now we may proceed to the next agenda item. It's a chairman's statement. I will brief the meeting on the outcome document of 17th East Asia Summit Energy Ministers Meeting. The outcome document of the meeting will be the chair's statement, since we are unable to reach consensus on the joint ministerial statement. There are several matters that prevent us from finding a common ground. Related to geopolitical issues was the hardest one to find the landing zone. Other issues such as reference for climate change, as well as the option to use the words decarbonization or reduce emission, are also difficult to compromise. Therefore, the chair decides to issue the chairman's statement of the 17th EAS-EMM. The chairman's statement will sum up our discussion on the meeting. The draft will be circulated by ASEAN Secretariat soon to all East Asia Summit participating countries for perusal, before being issued after the SMM is completed. Thank you. The next agenda item number 9, date and venue for the next East Asia Summit Energy Ministers meeting. I invite Lau PDR to brief us. Lau PDR, you have the floor.
Thanks again, Excellency Chair. On behalf of Ministry of Energy and Mines, Lau PDR is pleased to invite all ASEAN member states, our dialogue partner for the upcoming 18th EAS-EMM meeting, which will take place in Vientiane, capital city, in 2024. The tentative agenda will inform you in due course. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Excellency Lau PDR. Then we come to the item number 10, which is the closing remarks. Ladies and gentlemen, as our meeting has come to a close, I want to express my sincere gratitude to all colleagues for your valuable insights, thoughtful discussions, unwavering support, and commitments in developing our cooperation towards a more sustainable and resilient energy future for our region. Throughout our discussions, we have reaffirmed the critical role that energy plays in driving economic growth, enhancing social well-being, and safeguarding our environment. I appreciate the determination and effort from each of us to harness innovation and technology in accelerating the energy transition towards cleaner energy systems. Our shared responsibility to reduce carbon emissions shall be supported by the mutual understanding in our cooperation and partnership. Let us continue to work together to develop actionable strategies in developing interconnectivity among us, invest in sustainable energy solutions, and promote regional cooperation and foster mutual growth. Thank you, and see you at the 18th East Asia Summit Energy Minister meetings in Lau PDR.
Thank you very much indeed, Excellency Chair, Bapak Arifin Tashrif, the Minister of Energy and Mineral Resources of the Republic of Indonesia. Excellencies, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, we have come to the end of the 17th East Asia Summit Energy Ministers meeting today, and now we will have lunch. For head of delegates, lunch will be served in Mengwi 3, and for SOE leaders, lunch will be served at Mengwi 5. The rest of delegates, lunch will be served at Pecatu 3 and 5. And for Friday prayers, the praying room is located at Singaraja Hall, the 3rd floor of BNDCC 1, the other building. And ladies and gentlemen, before we adjourn, I would like to share a few announcements that we would have today. Ministers, CEOs, as well as iOS dialogue at 1:30 at BNDCC 1, Nusa Dua Hall 1. And continue by MOU signing, which will take place at BNDCC 1, same venue, and all participants are invited to attend the MOU signing at 3:15 p.m. Ladies and gentlemen, this evening we would have gala dinner and 2023 ASEAN Energy Award, which will take place at BNDCC 1 building at 6:30 p.m. Excellencies, ministers are invited with spouse. And the attire code for all events is formal dress. Ladies and gentlemen, the nameplate on your table, please do take it for souvenir from this East Asia Summit. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the committee, I would like to address our sincere gratitude for your active participation as well as great contributions, and please accept our apologies for any inconvenience in organizing the meeting. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Erika Sedana. Stay safe and well and enjoy the sunny Bali. Thank you.
Thank you.